Good morning, everyone. Over the next several days, we're going to start taking some notes on poetry and figurative language. Normally, when I do this in class, we would spend 2 or 3 days taking notes. Keep in mind, our classes are about an hour apiece. So, it would take us a very long time to go through all of these notes. I'm not doing that to you. We're just going to do 2 or 3 slides a day. Just take the notes so that you have some information to work with when I assign some of those other things. And we're going to not just do these notes for days and days and days and days on end. We'll take a few notes and then we'll do like a read works, and then we'll take a few notes and then we'll do like an edu puzzle. I'll break it up over the next several days. Okay, so you're going to want to pause the video and grab a piece of notebook paper and pencil, preferably your language arts notebook if you remembered to bring that home. In your notebook, turn to the notes section and we're going to start a new blank page. So take a second, pause the video, get something to write with and a pencil. At the top of this page, label this poetry. We're going to give all kinds of information about poetry in these next few slides. So first thing, okay, when a poet is write this down. When a poet is writing poetry, they choose their words very carefully. And there are several things they look for when they choose their words. And you're going to write each of these bullets down. They choose meaning. They obviously want a word that means what they're wanting to say. They choose words that will appeal to the emotions, the senses, or your imagination. A poet could say that the tennis shoes smelled bad, but it would be a stronger word to choose the word stink, or even stronger still, stench. Uh, the word stench conjures up awful images in your mind with the way it smells. However, if they said there was a lovely aroma coming from the shoes, you would think, oh, those smell pretty good. So choosing your words for that, for the emotion that they have, means a lot too. Sometimes they want to create an effect of sound or imagery. You've read about like a babbling brook that was sprinkled with diamonds as the sun glinted off of it. They want to create those effects. Ignore those little snowflakes. That's for me in class to remind me that that's the last part of the slide before I move on. No big deal. If you're not done writing, you can, of course, pause before you go on to the next slide. Okay, there are many different forms of poetry. So start a subheading, forms of poetry. And I'll go through maybe 2 of these today, and then we'll take a break. So different forms of poetry. You saw this in the exercise we did last week where they talked about haikus and cinquains. There are several other kinds as well, and we're going to talk about those today. Narrative poems. Narrative looks like the word narrator. The narrator's job in a story is to keep the story moving forward. So a narrative poem tells a story. These can be humorous, they can be serious, they can be light. Sometimes you hear a narrative poem called a ballad or an epic. Remember the Epic of Gilgamesh in social studies? Um, they can contain story elements, character, setting, conflict, plot. So narrative poems tell a story. An example I have of that is a poem called Peanut Butter Sandwich. Get all of this, pause the video, get all of this written down, and then restart the video so you can hear peanut butter sandwich. Peanut butter sandwich. I'll sing you the story of a silly young king who played with the world at the end of a string, but he only loved one single thing, and that was just a peanut butter sandwich. His scepter and his royal gowns, his regal throne and golden crowns were brown and sticky from the mounds and drippings from each peanut butter sandwich. His subjects were all silly fools, for he had passed a royal rule that all that they could learn in school was how to make a peanut butter sandwich. He would not eat his sovereign's cake, no, He would not eat his sovereign steak, he scorned his soup and kingly cake, and told his courtly cook to bake an extra sticky peanut butter sandwich. And then one day he took a bite and started chewing with delight, and found that his mouth was stuck quite tight from that last bite of peanut butter sandwich. His brother and his sister pried, the wizard pushed, his mother cried, "My boy's committed suicide from eating his last peanut butter sandwich." The dentist came, and the royal doc. His royal plumber banged and knocked, but still those jaws stayed tightly locked. Oh, darn that sticky peanut butter sandwich! The carpenter, he tried with pliers. The telephone man tried with wires. The firemen, they tried with fire, but could not melt that peanut butter sandwich. With ropes and pulleys, drills and coil, with steam and lubricating oil, they fought for 20 years of tears and toil. They fought that awful peanut butter sandwich. Then all his royal subjects came. They hooked his jaws with grappling chains, and pulled both ways with might and main against that stubborn peanut butter sandwich. Each man and woman, girl and boy put down their plows and pots and toys, and pulled until crack! Oh joy! They broke right through that peanut butter sandwich. A puff of dust, a screech, a squeak! The king's jaws opened with a creak, and then, in a voice so faint and weak, the first words that they heard him speak were, "How about a peanut butter sandwich?" So that just goes to show you that narrative poems tell a story. This one obviously had plot structure. There was exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. Um, all of those things were in place that we expect to see in a good poem. Now, if I can pull back up my, phooey, I lost my PowerPoint. Where did it go? Oh no! All right, well, this is a good place to stop anyway. We will jump back in tomorrow, get all of that written down. Tomorrow we'll talk about another type of poem, and I'll figure out where my PowerPoint went. Have a great afternoon, folks. I'll see you later.